Morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. I almost forgot what day it is. Oh my goodness. Hope everyone's enjoying another sunshiny morning. And welcome to probability part 4. Okay, it's getting even more tricky. But so far, I've seen lots of really great work for everyone who's watched the videos and posted their answers to the questions from the last couple of days. So I think we're all ready for it. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so quickly remember the last couple days. Oh, I gotta move myself. Whoa, up here. Okay, so remember the last couple days. This is what we've been talking about. So probability is all about the chance of different outcomes happening. We can say that these outcomes are certain, likely, unlikely, or impossible. And from yesterday, we learned that we can write probability as a fraction. Okay, so the number on the top of the fraction is the number of outcomes you want. Okay, so most of the problems yesterday, we just were talking about one specific outcome. And the number on the bottom is the total number of possible outcomes. Okay, remember, possible is very important there. Okay, they have to actually be possible for them to appear in the probability fraction. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is talk about that super duper problem from yesterday. And I'm going to move myself back down here. For some reason, I like being in this corner better. Okay, so this was the big problem that I left you with yesterday. So it said, what is the probability of rolling an even number on a six-sided die? Okay, so we talked a lot about rolling dice yesterday. So I asked you, what is the probability of rolling an even number on a six-sided die? Yesterday we did questions that said, what's the probability of rolling a 6, or what's the probability of rolling a 1? And we knew that was 1 out of 6, okay, because you have one thing that you want, and there's 6 other possible outcomes. So remember, when we write our fraction, the number on the top, it says how many outcomes you want. In this case, how many even numbers are on a six-sided die? Okay, so how many even numbers would you have? So 1's not even, so we can skip that one. But 2 is, so there's 1 even number, 2. 3 is not, but 4 is, so that's 2. And then 5 is not, but 6 is, so that's 3 even numbers. Okay, and then the number on the bottom of your fraction is going to be how many total outcomes are possible. In this case, how many numbers are on a six-sided die, and you have to include the numbers that you want. Okay, so you count all the numbers, even the ones that you're looking for. So we know that there are 6 numbers on this. So if we take a look at our fraction, so we're going to have 3. That's how many even numbers on a six-sided die. Out of 6, that's how many total numbers there are in a six-sided die. Which, remember, thinking about fractions, thinking about equivalent fractions, we learned that when the number on top is half as much as the number on the bottom, that fraction is the same as 1/2. So you have actually a 1 out of 2 chance of rolling an even number on a six-sided die. So we know that you would also have 1 out of 2 chance of rolling an odd number on a six-sided die, because both of them have 3 numbers out of the 6. Okay, hope that makes sense. Hope some of you were able to get it on your own. That was a super duper challenge. But speaking of super duper challenge, we're moving right along to today. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about all about cards. Okay, so I dug out some of the cards we had in the classroom. I counted. This is actually a full deck, which is a miracle because most of them got lost or wrecked or got mixed up. So this one actually survived. Woohoo! So this is a standard deck of playing cards, okay? And when you have a standard complete deck of playing cards and you've taken out the jokers, because a lot of games we don't use the jokers for, it's 52 cards in it. Oh, I gotta pause.
Staff, please pardon this interruption. Just wait. There have been a few new developments that happened lately.
Okay, that was Mr. Manning on the PA. So it's a little bit. I thought it would be easier to work at school, but sometimes there's even more distractions. There's more people running around and talking than there is at home when it's just Mrs. Burke and I. So anyway, back to it. Where were we? Standard deck, 52 cards in it. Okay, we can all agree on that. So we have 26 of them. So half of the deck are all black. Okay, they all have the black coloring on them, and half of them are all red. So 26 are red, like that. 26 are black, like that. Most of them have numbers on them, okay? So we have all the numbers 2 to 10, okay, are all on there. But some have faces. So remember we call the jacks and the queens and the kings are all face cards because they have people on them with faces, okay? So most have numbers, some have faces. 13 are diamonds. So in a deck of cards, you have 4 different, we call them suits. So 13 of them are diamonds, 13 of them are hearts, 13 are spades. That's what we call these ones because they look like little shovel. And 13 are clubs, which are the ones that look like clovers. Okay, so 1/4 of them are diamonds. Okay, 1/4 of them are hearts, 1/4 of them are spades, and 1/4 of them are clubs. Okay, and we're almost there. But each number or face card has 4 of a kind in the deck. Okay, so let's see if I can find 4 of a kind of something. Make sure. Okay, so each one has 4 of a kind in it. Okay, so there would be 2 more 10s in the deck. Okay, so each time you have 1 card, there's 3 other ones that have the same number or the same face on them. Okay, so those are all things that you are going to need to know to do your problem today. Okay, so moving along. Now, those are the things that we know about cards. Okay, so we can have different outcomes. And I'm back up here. Okay, so remember when we're talking about probability, chances of something happening, that the fewer outcomes you want compared to the more possible outcomes means it will be less likely. So that's like when we're doing fractions, when you had a number on the top and the number on the bottom was really big, but the number on top was small, it was a smaller fraction. So our fewer outcomes that we want compared to more, so a bigger number on the bottom, means it's not going to be as likely. You have a smaller chance of it happening. So from yesterday, when we talked about, I think I did Queen of Hearts yesterday, I said when you draw a card and you're hoping for the Queen of Hearts, see, I didn't get it, you only have a 1 in 52 chances. It's not very likely. So drawing one specific card from a shuffled deck is 1 out of 52. So it's pretty unlikely that that's going to happen. But you have a better chance of being successful if you have more possible winning outcomes. So instead of saying, I specifically want the Queen of Hearts, saying you want maybe just a red card, you have a better chance of it happening. If you want a diamond, you have a better chance of it happening. Even if you say, I just want any queen, you have a better chance than saying specifically the Queen of Hearts. Okay? So here we go. Remember what our outcomes can possibly be when we're talking about them. So certain. What is going to always happen when we draw a card? What's something we could say will always happen? Likely. What will happen more often than other outcomes? So if you kept drawing cards, okay, if you drew a card and you shuffled and you did this a whole bunch of times, what are the outcomes that are going to happen more often than others? Unlikely. What's not going to happen very often? What's not very likely? And then I added a new one for today. I said very unlikely. So what will almost never happen? So what's really rare to happen when you're drawing from a deck of cards? And finally, impossible. So it will absolutely never happen. Okay, this is where we can be a little silly with it. Try to think of things like you draw a card and something completely different happens. You don't get a normal card. Okay, so I'm going to give you some to start, but I'm hoping that you guys can also think of some on your own. So here we go. So it says place these outcomes in those categories. So remember, those are certain, likely, unlikely, very unlikely, and impossible. So here are the ones I thought of. Okay, so drawing a red card. Is that certain? Is it likely? Is it unlikely, very unlikely, or impossible? Drawing a black card. Okay, so remember I said black. So there's half of the deck is black and half of the deck is red. Drawing a card with a number on it. Okay, so I told you that there are more cards in this deck that have numbers on it than that have faces. Okay, so see, I'm having trouble finding a face card. So like the queens and kings and jacks. So there's more numbers than there are faces. So would that make that outcome likely, certain, impossible, unlikely, very unlikely? Drawing a diamond. So drawing a card with a diamond on it. Is that likely, unlikely, very unlikely, or impossible? Remember, 1/4 of the deck is diamonds. 1/4 of it is spades. 1/4 of it is hearts. And 1/4 of it is clubs. Drawing an ace. Okay, so ace is this guy. Remember what I said, there are 4 of every card in the deck, 1 for each suit. So you have 4 aces. Okay, so 4 out of the whole deck was 52. So do you think that is likely, unlikely, very unlikely, or impossible to draw an ace? Okay, drawing the king of spades. Okay, so one specific card. the king of spades. There's only one of those in the whole deck. So that's like when we did the queen of hearts yesterday. So is that unlikely, very unlikely, impossible, certain, likely? Okay, from this deck of cards that I just showed you that I've been making a mess of on my desk, what if I drew a signed rookie Wayne Gretzky card? Is that certain? Maybe I'd want it to be. Is that likely, unlikely, very unlikely, or impossible? Okay, and then I asked you, can you think of any more to fit into those categories? So when you draw a card, can you think of ones? Maybe saying I want to draw a card higher than 5. Like if you're playing War with a friend and they show a 5, you're wanting to know what the chances are that you'll have a card higher than that. So try to think of your own categories to fit in. Try to think of ones that are certain or impossible. Those ones should be a little bit easier to think of. And yeah, so I think that's your job for today. So try to place all these into the correct categories and come up with a couple of your own. I can't wait to see what everyone comes up with. Hope this is all making sense. If it's not, post a question. I will get to it. Okay. Miss you all. Hope you have a wonderful Thursday. Okay. Bye.